Alright, YouTube. I'm doing a morning rant video. I'm going to take the bus. Unfortunately, I got to go to orientation. So forgive me if this YouTube video is me walking to random location. I'm trying to find what would be the best way to get to the location. Actually, we'll take this way because if I have to use the restroom, at least I know where I'm going. Now, today's video is going to be called Sex Game. Sex with big booty, black, white, and Mexican women. Yes, I'm going to say it again. This video is going to be titled Sex Game with big booty, black, white, and Mexican women. See, there comes a time in your life as a heterosexual man where you're going to experience sexual frustration 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And society and people don't care if you're sexually frustrated. They don't care if you have a hard time trying to get a house or an apartment. They don't care if you have a hard time trying to get a job. And most important, they don't care if you get laid or if you don't get laid. You know, so this video is for men who are sexually frustrated from the ages of 18 to 29, and we'll extend the age limit from 18 to 29 to that of 45, maybe 50. We'll put 50 to be on the safe side. Now, most men get lied and tricked and deceived by pickup artists and dating coaches. Now, they want you to have this fantasy in your head that you'll always be able to date super sexy, attractive women. They always refer to super highly attractive women as 8s, 9s, and 10s. That would be supermodels, fitness models, booty models, actresses, the news lady, the cheerleader, Miss USA. That would be considered 8s, 9s, and 10s. Now, the reality to that is you're never going to date super hot, attractive women that are 8s, 9s, and 10s. And I already made a YouTube video about supermodels and fitness models. And then I made another video about golf girls and punk rock girls. And I said that you have different choices, different options. You're not going to always date what you see in the movies and television shows, or you see something in a magazine, because it's not realistic. That's like me saying I want to get with Scarlett Johansson. The opportunities for me to get with Scarlett Johansson is 0%. Doesn't matter if I get 2 jobs or 3 jobs. It is a 90% chance I will never get an opportunity with Scarlett Johansson or Jennifer Lawrence. That's real life. A fantasy is you go to sleep and you wake up and you're with Scarlett Johansson. Real life says 90%, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, you're never going to get with Scarlett Johansson. Never. Even if you take a picture with her and you get an autograph at Comic-Con and you communicate to her that you find her physically, sexually attractive, she'll just look at that as a compliment and an unflatter. But if you say it a second time, she'll acknowledge it, but then the third time she'll get police or security because now you're trying way too hard to get her to like you. And most men get this mind frame, this mindset from pickup artists and dating coaches. Now, there is something that they don't like to tell you in these 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour pickup artist seminars. And that is you're going to get more ugly women coming on to you than pretty women. And if anyone ever tells the truth on YouTube, it's Tom Leykis. If you know who Tom Leykis is on YouTube, he has his own radio show in Southern California. And he's been very successful for the last 25 years. A lot of people watch his channel, a lot of people call into his radio show and talk a lot of trash. And he's been very successful at it. So much successful that he's been highly profiled on YouTube. Some like him, some hate him. Some steal his material and use it for themselves, and he knows about it. He knows, all the big name YouTubers that you know, he knows who they are. He has spoken to a vast majority of them. And he gets people asking him all types of funny questions. Now, When he says use fat women and older women as batting practice, what he means is dumpster diving. Now, I already made a YouTube video called The Rules of Self-Improvement, and then I actually made a video of self-improvement. Now I'm about to explain what dumpster diving is. Dumpster diving is where you're sexually frustrated, you can't get what you want, and you ain't got no choice but to have sex with women that you don't find physically sexually attractive. You're gonna end up having sex with fat white women, fat Mexican women, and fat black women that are arguably 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 400 pounds, and as terrifying as it is, 500 pounds. You're even gonna get something like older women. Most of the time, if you get an older woman, she's usually already fat. Sometimes being ugly and being fat are like peanut butter and jelly. They go together. You can't never get peanut butter without jelly. You can't never get jelly without peanut butter. They both go together. So if you, let's say you get hit on by a woman that's 40, 45 years old, 50. Well, if she's between the ages of 30 or 40 to 50 years old, there's a good chance that she might be between 200 to 260 pounds, possibly 300 pounds. The older she is, the more fat she is. The more fat she is, the more older she is. Now, in the African American community, in the black community, you always get black women that are from 200 to 260 pounds, sometimes 300 pounds plus, and they're not physically sexually attractive. You have sex with these women because that's all that's available. Think of it as you get a car, right? Let's say you pass your driver's license test. After you pass your driver's license test, your dad will do the same thing that you saw in the movie Transformers, where the main character thought he was going to get a sports car, right? And his dad tricked him and made him get one of those old cars from the 1970s, right? Well, think of fat women and older women as something that's temporarily. Now, you can turn that into friendship. You can turn that into friends with benefits. What I'm trying to explain to you in the video is the reason why a lot of men have sex with fat black women and fat white women and fat Mexican women that are ugly is because they're on the same level. So, order for you to date super hot, attractive women, you got to start from the bottom and work your way to the top. What these pickup artists and dating coaches want you to think and believe is that you can get the best of the best right now, and all the ugly fat women, you can get them later on in life. That's not how life works. Life works like this. You get all the bad bullshit first, and then 5 or 10 or 15 years later, or even 20 years later, after you put in a lot of self-improvement, then you get 8s, 9s, and 10s. This ain't the movies, and this ain't the television shows where you get what you want because you saw it in a movie or in a television show. So that's why you should never listen to pickup artists and dating coaches. Dating coaches and pickup artists will get you into a world of trouble, because it'd be 5 years later, you're 25 years old, and they'll say you're young, you don't need to mess with no fat woman, you don't need to have sex with no ugly woman. Then it's 10 years later, and you're 30 years old, and people will say you're still young. But then it's 15 years later, and you're 35 years old, and people saying, I don't understand, how come you don't have no girlfriend? How come you're not married, and you have a wife and 2 kids? So that's why you should never listen to a pickup artist and a dating coach. These guys don't care about you. They just want you to buy their books, their DVDs, go to their seminars, and waste anywhere between $300 to $3,000 cash on a bunch of ignorant nonsense that is not going to help you physically, sexually attract women. They don't teach you self-improvement. They don't tell you the rules of self-improvement. They don't tell you that you have to start from the bottom and work your way to the top. They leave all of that out intentionally on purpose so they can target. You notice they only target men from the age of 18 to 29. They don't target no one that's 35 or 40 years old, because those guys are mature and they've caught on to the game and they know what the deal is. So they target you when you're in high school and college. They don't target you when you're 35 or 40. The only time they get a guy that's 35 or 40 years old is if he's that bad with women and they can trick him into paying money to go to these pickup artist seminars. So most men do it because they have a big butt, big breasts, and they're tired of rejection. Now, if you just take the same logic and reasoning for why you get rejected with super attractive women, it's the same thing with why you're messing with a fat white woman, an ugly fat white woman. There's fat white women that look cute, and then there's the ugly fat white woman. There is the fat Latina that looks cute, and then there's the ugly fat Latina chick. And most of the time the answer is going to be she has a big butt, big titties, and that's enough to turn me on. Now, you will get laughed, teased, and made fun of because people are going to say, how come you don't have high standards? And when you live in a world where people are racist and biased, it's hard to have high standards. You get attacked just for having high standards. It ain't just, I'm going to attack you because you got low standards. I'm going to attack you because you have high standards. So when people laugh and make fun of you, just understand that's not forever. That's like getting a job, right? And you think you're going to stay at that job until the day you die. It's not until the day you die. It's until you self-improve and you graduate to the next level. So understand that you have to start from the bottom and work your way to the top. Every man claims when they were in high school or in college, they get super hot, attractive women, right? But 9 times out of 10, most men lie. And when you find out who their girlfriend is, they're embarrassed and ashamed. And some people might say, why are you messing with a fat, ugly black woman or a fat, ugly white woman or an ugly, fat Mexican woman? Because the reality is that she is, what's the word I'm looking for? She give out some good, well, use your imagination. I don't want YouTube to come on here and shut down my channel for being sexually perverted. So I'm trying to keep it PG as possible. Let's just say she give you some ice cream, some good ice cream, just ice cream. You'll figure the rest out. Well, a lot of guys will say, well, she has a big butt. She has big titties. She give me some ice cream. She cooks me breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She gives me back massages, neck massages, feet massages. She understands me. She appreciates the hard work that I do. So, yeah, not every man gets a beautiful, attractive woman, okay? And a lot of times when people laugh and make fun of you and say, but she's ugly, she's ugly, but a lot of times you'll hear a man say, if you're not gonna help me with my situation, then leave me alone. And sometimes that's what happens. People get into fights and arguments because they go, you got low standards. You get guys having sex with average and below average women. So that's what happens to 80% of men. You end up having sex with the fat, ugly black woman, the ugly fat white woman, the ugly fat Mexican woman with the big titties and the big butt that's fat and out of shape, that packed on 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds, and she's between 200 to 260, 300 plus. And then people look at you like there's something wrong with you because you lowered your standards. I'm just trying to explain to you that you should never trust pickup artists and dating coaches, because it'd be 5 years later, it'd be 10 years later, it'd be 15 years later before you figure out how to physically, sexually attract a woman, and you won't be able to get the women that you want because you wasted so much time listening to a bunch of morons who just wanted you to buy their books and their DVDs. Now, I will make a complete separated YouTube video on why I hate pickup artists and dating coaches, but I have to go to my orientation in 2 to 3 hours, and I don't want to be late because it's training for this new security job. And maybe if I get out of there at 1:45, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock, I probably could come back and make that video. So look around for around 2:30 to 3 o'clock. Worst case scenario, 4:30 to 5 o'clock. Because I have a feeling this training might last an hour. It might last 2.5 hours. Sometimes they finish early, you leave early. Sometimes you come early and then it's 2 or 3 hours late because people don't want to come on time. So look for around 4:30, 5 o'clock. If not, we'll do the video tomorrow. Peace.